Took a break from TM1 for a while, right? I guess at some point you guys all left the server team. I guess you were the first one to kind of opt out. When was that again?
My tenure there was from 95 to 99. I was
and so that was
part of TM1 for maybe 4 years, 4 years and change. And that was after Applix acquisition. Which I don't remember exactly when it happened. I think I left like a year or so after that.
Yeah, the acquisition happened at the end of 96.
96, yeah.
I was there 96.
Yeah, you probably did a couple more years after that.
Was that pretty exciting? I mean, when the acquisition happened, was it like a big deal? Was everyone pretty excited about it?
It was a change. I mean, every change is kind of scary and exciting at the same time, right?
Yeah.
You were the same core team. It didn't change much for you?
Yeah, it didn't. We stayed there in that office. We didn't.
Well,
nothing really changed for us.
Well, we were, at least on my part, we were hoping that does not get acquired. And there are a few of us wishing that the company is going to go big by itself.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a fantastic technology. Yeah. And
so you were hoping it wouldn't get acquired.
That's
you guys
right.
would just be there when it went big by itself, kind of thing.
That's right.
Today, Sinper would be IBM or something.
It was sold for what, 11 million bucks, and then today it's making like 400 million.
I think it's sold for like 11 and a half.
11 and a half or something like that. Today it's making like 4.
They were at the time talking about two roads that they're going to take. One is the venture capital, one is that sold to another company. I think there's a few venture
there was
capital
pressure
from
the investors and it was.
They waited a long time, right? They started in 1984, started investing.
The thing is, after it happened, I guess we had some high expectations about what will happen next, and things didn't.
None of us has any input to that. Yeah. Right, so we're just worker bees, at least at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was in the office there, and one day Manny calls everybody into the conference room and says, guys, I just sold it.
You didn't? Did you know that was happening?
I had no idea.
All right, it was just like from one day to the next.
You guys
I kind of know because we had people
there was
coming.
there were people coming, and Hyperion was in the mix, and
Hyperion was
S-Base was actually talking because they were using the engine inside one of their.
No, Hyperion was using the engine.
I mean, Hyperion was using the engine, but S-Base was coming to the office. Remember that we have to show them the
I don't know about S-Base.
Yeah,
I remember.
I know Hyperion.
Arbor was using TM1 for a while, weren't they?
Yeah, they were using it, I think, right?
Oh, I do not know about that. Arbor always had their own S-Base engine,
and we have to kind of explain some of the inner works.
Maybe we did. I remember. But Hyperion, we had a real relationship.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I remember the Cognos people coming into the office.
Or
Cognos came into the office, and we were talking to them and explaining.
We did not fully understand Cognos at the time.
No, we didn't. But we didn't have to.
That was Sinper, was it, at that time?
Yeah,
we were still Sinper at the time. But Cognos, I did not know until I knew their product. I mean, I knew it's very slow.
Well, we didn't know anything about Cognos.
You were just crushing them with speed.
Well, in terms of those kind of queries, but Cognos has fantastic reporting capabilities, and which TM1 has nothing on it. We did not understand it at that time. I remember I visited a customer, Pelephone
in Israel.
Israel.
Yeah.
And after that, we were talking to I think it's the their electric company, and they're demanding that Cognos people and us talk. To say, they're a Cognos customer under TM1 customer. They say, I want the TM1 performance, but I want the customer Cognos capabilities. And that was an eye opener at the time.
We just had a spreadsheet.
Yeah, we're basically just a spreadsheet, right? Cognos has real nice reporting capabilities. It also has a engine, which I did not know at the
They have
time.
the PowerPlay.
They have a
thing,
PowerPlay,
right?
which
PowerPlay.
is, I believe, it's also in memory.
But it was
it's-
pre-calced, right? Like you'd
I
have
do
to
not know. I cannot
pre-calc the
make any-
consolidations. You'd
I
have to
cannot
load it
make any
overnight.
judgment on that.
I don't know anything about
I don't
that.
know anything
sure.
about that. I know there, our current manager used to work on the PowerPlay.
Who?
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, he used
Yeah,
to
people
work.
like PowerPlay, I think, because it had a really nice cube viewer, right? So once you're in there, it was
Yeah.
like you could do like.
I
cool
don't.
stuff
I
like
don't
that.
know much about it. I know I think they're memory based, pretty flexible. Probably don't quite have the, all the capabilities. But I'm not sure.
So when.
But Hyperion is a bigger customer at the time.
a big
in the-
customer.
Well, the partner, I should say partner.
Okay.
So they
yeah. At the
actually
time when
built.
Sinper was purchased.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, before.
Because they were reselling TM1. Wasn't there? Didn't you guys say
They're-
there was something called Spider-Man or something like that? The
They're not-
Spider-Man version of TM1.
They had the TM1 engine
They had a TM1 engine
inside one of
inside the Hyperion, one of the Hyperion products.
Yeah.
And Roger and I had to make multiple trips to Stanford.
Yeah.
This is actually, so talking about the lesson since we learned about TCP/IP stack. So they're a much bigger company than us. They have thousands of people at the time.
Yeah.
So they test everything to a much larger degree than we do, right? So we have
Okay.
a technology, we send it over. So they have a bunch of guys doing nothing but simulate different tests.
oh yeah, I remember that.
And they have a test, we send over everything we are expecting to work, and they'll keep failing. Every, starting like a few seconds, it will start to fail. And Roger and both have to go there. And what end up is that their testing tool is generating 4 extra bytes for the requests,
Okay.
right? So we send the request.
Four extra random bytes.
Yeah.
Well, I
so
don't know
they're-
it's random.
Yeah, I mean, how do you find 4 bytes?
So
Well,
their
no.
test
But
tool is
basically,
the problem.
the test to capture our exchange,
Uh-huh.
but they added the header, like 4 bytes, probably for their purposes, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that we did not know.
Yeah.
So when they're testing, what they send over, our stack, TCP/IP stack, is expecting this sense, but there's 4 extra bytes coming in. We don't know what they are. So yeah, it took us a little while to figure that out.
And thank God Yusu is here to kind of refresh the memory.
Yeah.
I didn't remember all that, but now I remember that we use a network sniffer and all that. Remember to
Yeah,
trace
yeah.
everything.
But you remember
going through the network.
you remember we went to the Stanford, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stanford, Connecticut.
yeah.
Yeah,
They had a
that's
beautiful
where the
office there.
Hyperion was.
I went there a couple of times too, and then what I remember is sitting there in front of a computer, and they had all this automated tests that you see the computer popping windows by itself and
Yeah.
clicking buttons and everything, and running a whole bunch of automated tests.
We never had that
with
with TM1, but I think with IBM later they had something. But,
Yeah, yeah.
but not when we were doing stuff.
Maria always sounded like she was doing tests.
Yeah, but she was clicking buttons. She was
Yeah, that's right, manually. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was early.
Nice one. So when you were purchased, then once Applix happened, then at that point, it didn't really change at the beginning. Then you were saying it was like
Well, not
you
the
guys were
change in
expecting
the.
a big change, but at first it was just you guys just kept going like you were. Or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was more change for you and Manny probably. I got isolated from all the
Right.
management and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
What was Manny like after that? Was that like a happy time for him? Do you
He
remember
was
that? Or was he-
relaxed, I guess.
It's more
A
relaxed.
little relaxed
Yeah.
because he had a lot of pressure on him when he was running
But
the
they-
whole show, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I was kind of shared with Applix. So I think I was looking forward to kind of some
Well,
type
I
of.
think many had expected that the Applix is going to do more
Exactly.
in
yeah,
terms of advancing
yeah.
TM1 technology. But Applix at that time had 3 products. There are 2 more products before they acquired TM1. There's Applixware was the main product, and then they have some CRM product. So they're getting attention there.
What was their intention with in terms of buying TM1? Do you remember?
Well,
What were they going to do with it, or were they just going to keep selling it as TM1, or did they want to embed it in Applixware?
No,
or
they
something,
wanted to do more. They wanted to do more, and they were expecting the Applix were gonna go much bigger, and the TM1 is going to be integrated. But I think they do have a design, but they didn't. I don't know if they fully figured out at that time. But they just say it's nice, good. I think Manny's point of view is that the philosophy of the people fits, and he really liked the leadership. And I mean, they seem to sound like they know what they wanted to do to take it. Now they did some investment. I mean, especially on the client side, right? So when we joined, they built a team. I think it's led by Prem. There's built on the client side. There was a TM1 architect that was built at that time. Before that, all we have is the TM1 perspectives as added into Excel and Notice.
Right.
So they built a new architect. There was a client team. They had several pretty good developers. They also did at the time we were doing the with Microsoft just started to do MDX. There's a new MDX specs come out, so we want to get ahead in the market. So we actually implemented the I guess OLDB provider before they did. I think the team in there did a part of the provider part, and we did the MDX engine part on the Warren office.
You guys did it before Microsoft even, eh?
Yeah, we had it available before the Microsoft actually released.
Yeah.
So that was pretty nice.
Yeah, nice one. So okay, so I mean, Applix did, especially on the front end, but not as much on the engine side, I guess, at that point.
Right, the server side, I think that basically just the few us. I mean, we had two other members, I think. At the time, we had hired a Redmas already. I think the Jiang Huang, I think he joined in the late 90s. Were you there when Jiang Huang joined? Oh, well, maybe it's a little bit later in the late 90s.
Well, Rod joined in 2000, I think, already.
Yeah. So, but basically, mostly just the few of us.
It was on the
server
Is
side.
it kind of like, I mean, the other products, the CRM product, the Applixware product, which was the Office for Unix, basically, kind of stuff, right? So those products basically don't exist anymore, as far as we know, or kind of fell away. And it's kind of a recurring theme, right? TM1 ended up going into IBM and sort of out competing a lot of the Cognos tools as well that kind of fell away, and TM1's still there, kind of going forward. It's despite all of that, seems like it's always the underdog for some reason in these situations. It always comes out the other side,
because
fine.
TM1 doesn't try to do much by itself, right? It's what you build on top of it. But it's a very simple tool. At its core, it's just.
Well, it's a general tool too.
A general tool is very simple. It's
a good engine, but the power is to be experienced by partners and the customers.
Exactly.
When people
it's
who
what
build
you build
applications.
With a tool.
Yeah. Is there anything about the engine itself that you felt that it should have been applied in certain ways that it wasn't, or do you guys always just accept whatever the partners and customers are saying, how they were using it, and just listen to that?
I mean, the engine works. I mean, it does the job.
Yeah,
So
sure,
you don't have to
it just
change it
works,
because it's working.
Well,
But there's always, the possibility of horizontal scalability and all those things.
I guess those are technical things,
but those are
how would you
technical
apply
things,
it to certain business problems where no one ever used it before, where you anticipated?
Well,
right?
that's. I mean, we're not trying to push it, right? Because we're not business people per se. I mean, there are some, later on they're trying to build more application, like planning analytics is a part of it.
Sure.
But really, if you look at even back then, look at the spectrum, how customers use it, it's very diverse. Yes, a lot of people are using for finance consolidations, for planning, but there's also people use it for operations. I mean, even
definitely,
I mean, it's really.
You mean operational planning and operational
reporting, planning? There are people. It depends on how people do it. There are people, for example, they will every morning print out the price models, send it to all their field employees, right? And they will just take it with them. And today, this is how they're gonna sell the product. Every morning they will do that. That is not a financial consolidation. It's a really, kind of detailed planning to the field.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, there are telephone companies trying to come up with individual pricing for, based on customers, habits. Right. I mean, I guess TM1 technology is not the first one used for that, but definitely there are people using TM1 for that.
AWS at the moment
Sure.
are using Tier 1 for pricing.
Yeah. So if you think about the tool, it is itself is a empty container, and to let you put data in, and it does a good job to fetch data for you whenever you ask, however you want to ask, and also let you link every cell with another cell, right?
Yeah.
Define every
flexibility.
cell from another one.
So do you guys appreciate that? Like, I mean, you talked about the performance, like crushing the competition performance, but like when you ask customers what they love most about TM1 after they've had it for a few years, it's the flexibility. They go, I can solve so many problems with it, right?
Absolutely.
Like, there's no limit on that.
I think that TM1 is in a weird space because if you look at databases, there is a conflict between writing data and reading data. There's always that competition, right?
Yeah.
And usually reads are like an order of magnitude higher than writes. People read much more than writing, right?
Yeah.
So every time you enter and write, you're affecting the readers because you're invalidating calculations and all that. So
Yeah, right.
So there is this conflict, and the resolution to that conflict today is, with the data lakes and projecting data to read-only databases, denormalizing the data versus normalizing the data in operational databases. So
Right.
there is a bunch of solutions to that, but TM1 is still in that conflict area, right? You can write and read at the same time, and it's efficient, so I guess it's all the applications that are in that space are a possibility there.
Well, the flexibility you talk about, I mean, we don't, as a developer, we don't talk about the flexibility per se, but this is just a given for the product. The customer do appreciate, I mean, we know, right? It's not like we don't know. This is, I mean, it has been compared, endlessly to say, it's really, historically started as a spreadsheet itself. It is a spreadsheet, okay? It's just multidimensional, right? Instead of, the spreadsheet, what does it give you? It's
So you're saying it is a spreadsheet. It's just like a multidimensional, highly scalable one.
It is a what it gives you is the following.
That is the best definition, because it's, I don't know how many definitions we have seen about TM1.
Yeah.
And now the functional database, and I mean, it's all. But at the end of the day, what normal people understand is the spreadsheet, because it's been with us for many years, and everybody's using spreadsheets today. So the best way I can explain TM1 to people is a spreadsheet, but instead of one sheet or multiple sheets in a workbook, you have more dimensions. You have more workbooks and more meta workbooks, and
it's a multi-user spreadsheet as well.
Well, this is the other part.
This is the other part.
It's a multi
connector is what it was called at one point, like trying to describe it. Like,
well,
is that like from a branding point of view?
Going back to the read and write issue, that's what a spreadsheet is.
Yeah, that's all.
You put
ways
formulas
to say
in, and then you write, and then things change, and people can read the changes. So it's kind of that interactive, multidimensional, multi-user spreadsheet. That's the tool.
Well, so to come back to answer your question, right? To say the flexibility is what a spreadsheet is. If you think about the two-dimensional spreadsheet, the reason people love it is because of the flexibility. Is that you can define any which way you want. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the TM1, from that point of view, it shares the same characteristic. But it goes one beyond. It's multidimensional.
Yeah.
Now, started at 6, server 6, well, actually even 5. We also made it a multi-user. That everybody's seeing the same client.
You can see the same thing in multiple places, and the change.
Yeah, you see the same, right. So the changes.
Did that blow people away when you guys started doing that? Like when somebody would enter a number here, and then somebody on another computer would see the result change really, were people going crazy for that? Because I mean, I've been in demos where we would show that to people, and they would be like, did you just enter that like through the cell in the spreadsheet? How did you do that? It's like magic to people when you show it to them the first time. They,
well, I think when they started making the client server, that's one of the things you show. You have somebody type in here, it just changed.
Yeah.
Right.
It's probably just seems like obvious to you guys, but like people who are living in normal spreadsheets.
It's a chat room.
Well, yeah. So if you really think about it, you call the functional database or whatever you call it, is basically a totally flexible, multi-dimensional spreadsheet that's multi-user.
Yeah.
And that's really what and it made it possible because it's the engine is in memory, and it handles sparsity.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. Yeah.
As long as you have a consistent spreadsheet, that everybody can use, and it's, you know, it's a good tool. I mean, imagine not having TM1. How do you deal with that? You know, it's
what would the world be like without TM1?
And that's what a lot of people still do, right? They have multiple copies of multiple spreadsheets, and they share it, and they have a network share where they pull in it. And how to manage that? So people have to manage that. So TM1 is solving that for you. That's,